are to pay. You are to pay for them.
Well, this is Flanker representing for NDPD New Democracy.
Toronto New Dems present Niagara Falls Bus Ride, Saturday, September 20th, 2025. $50 per person. Pickup locations: Scarborough Town Centre, 1:30 p.m. Sheridan Mall, 2 p.m. Info lines: Erlene, 416-788-5163. Kenny, 647-833-3419. Connector, 647-829-8155. Pharrell, 416-822-3601. It's the New Dems Niagara Falls Bus Ride, Saturday, September 20th. Don't forget.
Every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. you will hear a old-time story by Vin Abbott on BayHillNews.net.
One in Antigua. Travel with Alvin Bully Bus services between Pigot's Village and St. John's on Old Firearm Road. We also conduct island chores 7 days per week, all in comfort, style, and safety. For more information, contact Alvin Bully, 1268-764-2869. That's 1268-764-2869. The Hill News Network presents Inside Health, a program in which we explore the human body and functions. We'll share real-life stories and the latest in medical science as we look at related diseases, conditions, and determinants of health that affect quality of life. So join me, Vin Abbott, on Wednesday evenings from 8:30 for Inside Health on Bayhill News Net, also on KincadiRadio.info. Network presents Inside Health, a program in which we explore the human body and functions. We'll share real-life stories and the latest in medical science as we look at related diseases, conditions, and determinants of health that affect quality of life. So join me, Vin Abbott, on Wednesday evenings from 8:30 for Inside Health on Bayhill News Net, also on KincadiRadio.info. Good evening to you, good night to you, good morning to you, whatever the time in your place. Welcome to this week's edition of Inside Health. So happy to have you for company. Starting a bit late this evening, just got in from work, but you know how that goes, right? My name is Vin Abbott. Yes, trust all is well with you and yours. And thanks for allowing us into your space, into your domain at this time. Yes, thank you for allowing us into your this time. I am based in Toronto, Canada. I'm based in the studio of Kincadi Radio, and I am your host with Monty Kippett, our producer, chief engineer, there in the studio of the Hill News Network on St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Good evening to you, Monty. Trust all is well with you and yours there on St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Friends, just a reminder, Inside Health is a radio magazine health information program held on Wednesday evenings on KincadiRadio.info and BayhillNews.net simultaneously. Inside Health takes a look at the human body the different parts, functions, and conditions and diseases that affect performance. We take a look at strategies, possible solutions. In this regard, we pay close attention to the determinants of health, to mean all those factors with which we were born, we grow, we live, and age. We we do not diagnose nor prescribe. As needed, we make referrals. Well, this week we take a look at crime and the people in crisis. Yes, crime and people in crisis. We did a couple programs on crisis prevention and other issues related some time ago, early August. But we have reason to revisit the issue of crisis this evening as part of this evening's program. So the way we want to start this, we were actually planning to do a series to help our parents and teachers and students as they have just started the new school year. We wanted to talk about social media and things like that, the impacts on our young ones and the safeguards, the real guards that we need to put in place to help our students. But I got this post, this message from Monty. I think it was yesterday or the day before, September the 9th, right, which was yesterday. It's a press release that came from the police, and I'll read it for you. And this is what is driving this week's program. We read, police investigating death of adult female discovered in Long Wall. And for those of you who do not hail from St. Vincent and Grenadines, this is an area, a suburban area in the capital city, Kingstown, St. Vincent and Grenadines. So, press release. Police investigating death of adult female discovered in Long Wall. September 9th, 2025, Kingstown. Police are currently investigating the circumstances surrounding the death of Sharon Elizabeth Ashton, a 43-year-old domestic of Long Wall, whose body was discovered approximately 11 a.m. on today's date at the back of her residence. Police were alerted to the discovery of the adult female, who was met lying motionless with what appeared to be multiple stab wounds. The district medical officer attended the scene and pronounced Ashton deceased. The magistrate then gave permission for the body to be removed. Crime scene personnel processed the scene. A post-mortem examination will be conducted to determine the exact cause of death. Investigation is ongoing, and police are urging anyone with relevant information to contact Police Control 784-457-1211. Criminal Investigations, yes, Criminal Investigations Department, Major Crimes Unit 784-456-1810. The Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force extend our deepest condolences with the friends and family of the deceased during this difficult time. End of that press release. Compliments Bay Hill News Network. It came from the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force. And that came out, that was released, that press release came out yesterday, September the 9th, 2025. And according to information, Ashton's death brings the number to 26 deaths to date on St. Vincent and the Grenadines. 26 deaths. Yes, according to our correspondent there at Bay Hill News Network on St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Well, friends, two things here. One, death, especially when it's an apparent murder or violent death, is one death too many. With me? One death, especially when it's a violent death, is one death too many. And over the years, we've been really having a serious problem with murders, homicides, and so forth on St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You have heard us on this program on numerous occasions saying, given the number of deaths, murders we've been experiencing on St. Vincent and Grenadines, we believe the time has come and has long gone. Yes? For us to really look at crime, to look at murders, to look at homicides, but crime generally as a public health problem. Other countries are doing it, even in the Caribbean, Antigua, St. Kitts, Nevis, Anguilla, in parts Jamaica. But the leading authority on health in the World Health Organization, several years ago identified crime as a public health problem. There's a big document around this, and we referred to that in a previous program. I often say, if, for example, in 1 year we were to have, or let's put it this way, if I say this year we would have 26 persons dying because of AIDS, could you imagine what the response would have been like? What if it were 54? Could you imagine? But we see AIDS, HIV, we see cancer, we see these health concerns, these conditions, these diseases as public health problems, and rightly so. Why can't we see murders and crimes generally as a public health problem? It baffles the mind. Because when somebody is murdered, you're taking somebody's life. When somebody dies from AIDS, life. AIDS is a essential lifestyle disease. So is crime, lifestyle, behavioral oriented, with its genesis in biology, in genes and things like that. Some conditions lend themselves to violence, like untreated, unmanaged, for example, schizophrenia. We know that. So I'm really, really baffled that we're still seeing crime, seeing murders, homicides, all these insults on the human life as a problem that should be solved by the security personnel, by the police, by the legal system, by them alone. It cannot be. Yes, of course, it's important for us to have the police working in conjunction with other areas of government, of public health. But it can't be the police alone. They're charged with so many things. But in terms of understanding what is happening, what are the factors that are giving rise to crime, to violence? Yes, in the police force, we might have one or two persons who are trained in forensics and things like that. But we have to work with persons who understand epidemiology, biostatistics, who can go deep down and look at the causes or related factors. Persons who are steeped in social sciences to understand what is happening. Why so many of our young people are in prisons or behind bars? This is a public health problem. To me, I really don't understand it. We have been going along this singular path for years, thinking that the police can do it alone. The police cannot. They have a vital role to play. And I laud them. I salute the police on St. Vincent and the Grenadines for the efforts they are making, given the conditions under which they're performing. They cannot do it alone. We have the expertise in the Ministry of Health and other places that can work along with the police to help us with crime. It's one of the reasons too. So that's how we see it on this program. That's how we see it. It has to be seen as a public health problem. We see it as a public health problem. Not only that, we landscape this problem against the determinants of health. All those factors with which we were born, we grow, we live, we age. So, what are some of those factors? Yes, the biology, the genes, the sex, the gender, level of education, employment, economics, yeah, geography, where you live, and we can go on and on. All those factors impact our behaviors one way or the other. All those factors, the determinants of health, impact many of the decisions that we make in life. So again, we cannot just see it as an issue for the police or the security personnel only. We have to look at all the other factors that are impacting our behaviors, whether it has to do with crime or it has to do with sexual behavior or the way we eat or not eat and things like that. So in tonight's program, I want to put out again a model that has been out there for years. It's called the crime triangle. 3 sides, right? A triangle. And we have talked about this before as a basic way to try and understand what is happening and probably what we can do. What are some of the possible opportunities we have to bring about some change, to make a significant dent in the problem. Now, the crime triangle, also known as the problem analysis triangle, is a model from routine activity theory. So what it does, it explains how crime occurs when a motivated offender, a suitable target, and a lack of capable guardianship converge in time and space. Put another way, crime will not happen if these 3 things, if one of them is absent. The 3 of them must be together. Different points in the triangle, 3 points. Yes, you must have a target. You must have an offender, a motivated person, a person who is motivated to commit crime for whatever reason. And that person must have an opportunity to commit that crime. With me. Those basic 3 factors. So how can we mitigate, how can we say, get rid of one? Well, what you call, there are 3 elements outside. So you have a triangle, you have the inside line, outside, for example. You have what you call the controllers in that triangle, right? You have handlers. Okay, that's what they're called. You have the guardians, and you also have the managers. So we'll explain those 3 areas, the 3 controllers. How can we, in a crime situation, using the crime triangle model, how can the handlers, how can the guardians, and how can the managers help in the fight against crime? So when we talk about the handlers, we are talking about individuals or situations who or that can handle potential offenders. Where does it start? It starts, you got it right. It starts with the family, parents, parenting. What happens in the family? Are folks exposed to violence in the family? And it's again, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see if a child or children exposed to violence in a family, there's a way of dealing with challenges and concerns. That child is going to grow up thinking that's the only way to deal with problems or challenges or issues. Parents, it starts in the family. So, we've talked about families at nauseum on this program. I know on other programs, Heart to Heart with my good buddy there, old George, has spent a lot of time You know, he used to work at the prisons of St. Vincent and Grenadines. He's a social worker. He understands it quite well. The family, the role of the family in shaping young minds and helping people to make decisions and helping folks to really come to yes without beating up each other. You have a challenge, you have a problem. How can we work things out? How can we get to yes? Right? So there's a win-win situation. How can we do that? It starts in the family. Children, you know, uh, live what they see. They learn from us, from our modeling as parents. It starts there. So our parents amongst has to be number one handler in terms of avoiding or preventing crime. Along with parents, we have teachers who nurture children. They have our children in classroom for so many hours per day. How can we equip our teachers to manage classrooms better? I'm so happy that the strap that we used to have to punish students in schools because they weren't able to respond to times used to call these things what times tables right tables 5 times 5, and if you can't answer because you right away because you are anxious, and many of us were pretty anxious, fearful of the strap coming on us. The answer is 25, but you couldn't answer right away. Bam, the strap over your back for nothing. I mean, you are there to learn, and you are being beaten, being punished. I mean, just think about it, my friends. Teachers, modelers, molders of young minds. Our spouses, our handlers can help to shape minds, to help deter a potential offender, to help discourage criminal behavior. And we can add a host of personnel and workers and departments in the whole area of handlers. Think about social workers. Think about mental health workers. Think about doctors. Do our doctors ask questions of parents, or do doctors, like when young, like teenagers come in to visit, do they ask questions? Do they get a history of what's happening in the family? Do they ask you as a spouse, as a woman, how things are with you, how things at home? Getting a bit of social history to provide support, other than just to write a prescription for some condition. Somebody might present feeling anxious. Do they get into the deep history? All these are best practices that can help to discourage criminal behavior. If we can pick up on the fact that, for example, a spouse is being abused by, say, her spouse or his spouse, something can be done there before death results. How about the church? Jesus didn't stay in the amongst the four walls. He was out there preaching the gospel, the good news. Are we reaching out? Our good brother Gregory Oliver sang a song for this year's Calypso Monarch competition. Gregory there, I think it's Dynamite's Calypso tent, New York. Beautiful song. Really Christian Day. What does it really mean to be a Christian? To go to church every Sunday, then come Monday to Saturday, you don't care about what's happening with your neighbor or what's happening in society? Is that what a Christian means? What about our addictions? What about addiction services for persons who are living with addiction of chemicals, whether it be alcohol or cocaine or something else that is altering the person's perception of life, affecting judgment, escalating anxiety, threatening anxiety, causing a person to lose control? Do we have services? Do we pick up on these things to help persons like that? What about when spouses make reports to the police? Do we have somewhere where they can get help? Police will not be able to deal with that. But is there some way to where they can refer them to get help? What about rehab services for persons who have already who offended before? When they leave the prisons, what happens? Are they prepared to face life, with a different mindset, with different skills, sets of skills? What about employment? What about community leaders? What about clubs? What about youth groups? What about coaches? In our primary schools, in our secondary schools, are we picking up on a reduced level of performance by a youngster? And to just, and do we just check out, hey, what's happening here? Come on, pull him aside or her aside. What's going on here? Let's have a conversation in confidence. I have just highlighted some of the handlers, some of the persons, some of the services that ought to be in place and that ought to be in the fight to discourage criminal behavior. The list is not, um, you know, exclusive. You can add. You can think of just about anyone who can be a handler, a friendly neighbor. These days, we don't seem to think that we need each other anymore. So we have our big house, we have our big walls, we have our TV, internet, social network going on and all of that. We are doing well. We don't care about the person just across the road, who could eventually become an offender and commit a crime against you. We are living this kind of an insular life. And that by itself is lending itself to some of the activities. Do we have neighborhood watches? If criminals know that there's a lively neighborhood where people look out for each other, look it, they're gonna be avoiding such a neighborhood. Friends, I can go on and talk about the handlers that can help to control the situation, can arrest the situation. The police cannot do it alone. The police are our guardians. They are amongst our second set of controllers. They are people of things that protect, right? Targets. They're the ones who protect us by day and night. Our security guards, our neighbors, if they're neighbors. Security devices like, cameras and other things like that. But again, they have to work hand in hand. The handlers have to work hand in hand with the guardians and vice versa. Yeah? And we also then have the managers. Those persons, the managers, individuals, departments responsible for overseeing locations and controlling the environment to reduce opportunities for crime, like a bartender managing a bar. To pick up if somebody's getting out of control, getting drunk, do you say to that person, hey, I'm not going to be selling you any more drinks tonight. You need to find a way home. I can help you get a cab to get home. Things like that. Friends, the crime situation can be arrested. But I am not convinced, based on all the reports coming out of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and most of the islands in the Caribbean, that we really are paying close attention to some of the fundamental issues that we have just talked about. Crime will not happen if any element in the crime triangle is absent. If there isn't a victim or a target, there won't be a crime. If there isn't a potential offender, there won't be a crime. If there isn't an opportunity, there won't be a crime. But to make this work, we have to have people. We have to have systems around us, individuals and systems around us to help control the situation. The handlers, the guardians, and the managers. On behalf of Big Hill News Network, on behalf of Kankadi Radio, all the Kankadians, all who are listening to our program tonight, we extend condolence to the family of our loved one there from Longwall, Elizabeth Ashton. And all those who have lost loved ones recently due to crime, we do extend condolence. It cannot be easy to move on with life following the murder of a loved one. It cannot be easy. I would imagine many people are dealing with crisis at the moment. Because when a murder happens, it was unanticipated. Yes? Very stressful. While it's true that stressful events and emergency situations are part of life, they have the potential of becoming crisis. It doesn't necessarily follow, however, a crisis doesn't necessarily follow from a traumatic event. What is a crisis for me may not be a crisis for you. As long as we're able to handle stressful life events, we'll not experience a crisis. But if stress overwhelms us and we are unable to find a way out of our predicament, a crisis will result. The truth is, as a human race, we have been experiencing stress, predicaments, and life crises from the beginning of time. Yes? And we have found a variety of ways to resolve predicaments and live through crises. Similarly, other people have always helped in this process. A number of persons have been helping in this process. You know, people working in the field of psychology, mental health, social sciences, and all. But in early times, we used to think that when people are in crisis, they are just upset. Yeah? That was a myth. When people in crisis, they're struggling, they're overwhelmed. They're not just upset. Modern crisis theory has helped establish a new approach to people with problems. As a result of modern way of thinking, modern crisis theory, yes, the emphasis is on helping, the helping mode. That's what it's about, to help people. Like I would imagine the family of Ashton would need right now help. This whole time we're thinking that people in crisis are just upset and are crazy. People who are upset cannot help themselves. Only psychiatrists or highly trained therapists can help people in crisis. And people who are suicidal or upset will get over it if they're left alone. That is old-time thinking. When people in crisis, they're overwhelmed, they need help from all the resources available to them. And they need help in confidence and all of that. And like we said before, the handlers, the controllers are many amongst us. You don't have to be a trained professional to be helpful. You don't have to be a psychiatrist or mental health counselor or therapist to be helpful. We have parents first, the best doctors, spouses, teachers, counselors, social workers, who recognize when a crisis situation presents, it actually provides an opportunity for growth and development if the appropriate support services are provided. Again, we need to rethink our approach to deal with people in crisis as if they're there waiting for a hand up. They need support to use the opportunity, the traumatic experience to make them stronger and better. Because the truth is, people in crisis generally are like you and me, they're normal people. All of us go through crisis of one form or the other, or stressful situations. And we're all capable of helping ourselves. I have a policy in life. I'm not going to help someone if I know that person can help himself or herself, or what he or she can do for himself or herself. Because I believe if we dig deep, we can see there are ways we can dig ourselves out of many situations with some serious talk, some changes here and there. And I also believe, we strongly believe, yes, people in crisis, whether you're having a relationship problem that is driving you nuts, and that may trigger in some sort of thought and eventually, if not handled properly, a behavior that might be dangerous, life threatening. I believe that when we're presented with a crisis situation, if we have the resources available to us, we can overcome them. Many of us have overcome crisis situation, at different points in our lives. Again, we believe in the stages of development. So the challenges of, say, adolescence, I've gone through them, right? Successfully. Made some mistakes, but here I am today, an older adult. So we all have to go, and this is what life is about. Each stage presents its own crisis or its own challenges, but we all need support. We all need support, caring support, loving support, confidential support. Because we're all capable of further growth with a little help from friends, family, neighbors, community, country, the nation, the authorities. Friends, I want to end on that note tonight. Again, one death is one death too many, especially when the cause is murder, homicide, whatever you want to call it. On behalf of all of us on this program, Inside Health, on behalf of our Chief Engineer, Monty Tippett, the Behavior News Network, all listeners in Kankakee Radio, we extend deep condolence to the Ashton family and all those who have lost loved ones recently. We lift you up this evening. We invite you to join us next week for another Inside Health program. I must apologize. Tonight we won't have a wartime story with Jean. Hopes to be back. She hopes to be back next week. Monty, thank you very much to all listeners, wherever you are. We wish you a wonderful Wednesday evening or Thursday morning, whatever the time in your place, wherever you're on planet Earth. We love you. Do take care. Monty, thank you very much.
October is Menopause Awareness Month, a time to honor the journey, embrace the change, and amplify the
As hands to hold, as long as he watches over my soul, as long as I'm under his control, it is alright. I shall not be moved. I shall not be moved, just like the tree that's planted by the water. I shall not be moved. I shall not be moved. I shall not be moved, just like the tree that's planted by the water. I shall not be moved. Jesus is my Savior. I shall not be moved. In his love and favor, I shall not be moved, just like the tree that's